Inside Xiangjie City, everything became gray, and countless creatures lost their breath of life, living like puppets. The woman in blue is the only color in this world. She walks in this city, observing everything carefully. Although I have learned a lot of information about Luohe, it is still clearer to see it with my own eyes. The woman in green walked to the garrison and was a little surprised. This Luohe's life force is really well contained. I walked over and couldn't see any trace of him in the past. A Chaos Realm Transcendent is more capable of controlling the life force than many divine kings of the first level. The green-clothed woman exclaimed. The Origin Continent does have some ability to peek into the past, but it is relatively easy to peek into the past of ordinary people, and the stronger the person, the more difficult it becomes. The woman in green can observe most of the first-level God Kings. The surrounding space and time are distorted. The woman in green instantly returned to the present from the past, and everything around her regained color and became vivid. This timeline was the timeline where countless creatures truly existed. Great Sage Luohe. The woman in green stood outside the garrison and spoke with a smile. Her voice naturally traveled inside, and the guards at the door of the garrison could not see the woman in green in front of them at all. Inside the garrison, Luo Feng was drinking and chatting with Morosa, who was enjoying himself after having just finished digesting the corpse of the God King. Great Sage Luohe. The voice sounded around. Huh. Luo Feng and Morosa were both startled. It was only at this moment that they noticed the woman in green outside the garrison. Morosa was secretly shocked and said in a voice transmission, Master, I can easily sense the vast area around Xiangjie City. I should be able to sense any strong person approaching me, but I didn't even notice this person. After all, she is the Queen of Wind City in the eastern region. Luo Feng noticed the blue-clothed woman in the garrison at this moment. Seeing her appearance, he naturally knew her identity. Her strength should be close to that of the Peak Beast. Morosa transmitted telepathically. Almost. Luo Feng also guessed, you leave first, I'll go see her. Luo Feng went to the gate of the garrison in person. The guard at the door also couldn't see Luo Feng. Luo Feng walked outside the door and looked at the woman in green standing outside. She seemed to be standing there, but she was detached from the whole world. Luohe, greetings to the Queen of Fengdu. Luo Feng bowed slightly. He was able to create his own secret technique and become the absolute #1 in the Chaos Realm. The green-clothed woman looked at Luo Feng and smiled in admiration. He is truly extraordinary. Such a powerful young man has not appeared in the Origin Continent for a long time. Luo Feng laughed and said, no matter how powerful he is only in the Chaos Realm. Would you like me to come in and sit down? The woman in green said with a smile. Please. Luo Feng immediately led the way. As the Queen of Fengdu was so friendly, Luo Feng naturally responded in a friendly manner. In the garrison, in a reception pavilion, the two parties sat opposite each other, and Luo Feng personally poured wine for the other party. The Queen of Fengdu is one of the 12 emperors of the indigenous people of the Dongji territory. Her strength is even more terrifying. Luo Feng certainly knew the other party's intelligence. In the earliest days of the Origin Continent, the indigenous people occupied most of the Origin Continent. The natives ruled the continent of Origin. At that time, the ethnic groups of the two ancient countries were still very sparse, and they only occupied a very remote and small area. At that time, the natives who ruled the Origin Continent also had a being called God Emperor. There were a total of 12 God Emperors. At that time, the creatures of the Origin Continent were generally very weak, and there were very few practitioners from the 3,000 original universes who had passed through the reincarnation and came to the Origin Continent. Judging from their current strength, these 12 divine emperors have just become divine kings. But, over the long years, the indigenous people's territories had been greatly compressed, and they all huddled in the East Pole region. The 12 emperors at that time were able to become divine kings in a short period of time in the early days, and now they are all at the second level of divine king. Among them, the Queen of Wind City is the most unfathomable. On the Origin Continent, there are only a handful of people who are at the second level of the divine king realm and can fight against the emperors and monarchs. The Queen of Wind City is one of them. An ordinary god king at the second level is vulnerable in front of the emperor or the monarch, and his true body would be destroyed in a single encounter. But the Queen of Fengdu is an existence not much different from the emperor and the monarch. Morosa thought, the Queen of Wind City should be close to the top beast level. According to the intelligence, this Queen of Wind City has cultivated the great Tao of the origin of the world and the great Tao of the origin of time to the second level of the divine king realm. The inheritance of her cultivation is unknown. Luo Feng sighed. Perfect grade inheritance and special grade inheritance are not difficult to obtain with the extraordinary talent of the Queen of Wind City. Moreover, the natives of the eastern region also have a mysterious ancestor behind them. That ancestor protects the entire natives and naturally values the most talented Queen of Fengdu. One can imagine the status of the Queen of Wind City in the Origin Continent. Even though Luo Feng had become a divine king, the gap between him and the other party was still very large. Not to mention that he was only in the Chaos Realm now. Luo Feng was somewhat surprised that the other party was still so friendly. Luo He, I came here to invite you to join the force I founded, Samsara Building. The green-clothed woman looked at Luo Feng. Although this Samsara Building was founded by me, all members are equal. I believe you have heard about the information about the Samsara Building. Samsara Tower? Of course Luo Feng had heard of it. The Samsara Tower is a relatively small force, much smaller than the Two Realms Palace. Because every official member of the Samsara Building was personally selected and invited by the Queen of Fengdu, their numbers are naturally scarce. However, the reputation of the Samsara Tower is comparable to that of the Two Realms Palace, the Wanfa Tower, and the Time and Space Boat. We have very few members in the Samsara Building, said the woman in green, but each of them is extraordinary. Am I qualified to enter the Samsara Building? Luo Feng asked. If I go in by myself, I'm afraid I'll be the one with the lowest strength. Don't underestimate yourself. The green-clothed woman looked at Luo Feng and said, You are a very remarkable practitioner in the entire Origin continent. Oh. Luo Feng was shocked. Luo Feng certainly knew that he was special. He had enslaved a world beast. In the future, with a world beast at the ultimate level of God King, he could train a powerful army and establish a first-class force. Moreover, Luo Feng himself is a perfect divine body that has never appeared in the Origin continent. His small universe is also beyond that of any cultivator. Compared with these two, the art of Li Yuan is actually inferior. After all, there are far more people than just Luo Feng who have inherited Yuan. Luo Feng was well aware of his own peculiarity, but he had always kept it secret. In the future, with a world beast at the ultimate level of God King, he could train a powerful army and establish a first-class force. Moreover, Luo Feng himself is a perfect divine body that has never appeared in the Origin continent. His small universe is also beyond that of any cultivator. Compared with these two, the art of Li Yuan is actually inferior. After all, there are far more people than just Luo Feng who have inherited Yuan. Luo Feng was well aware of his own peculiarity, but he had always kept it secret. Now, the Queen of Fengdu is so optimistic about herself. But no matter how talented you are, you still need resources to cultivate, the green-clothed woman said, such as top-notch inheritance and various rare treasures to assist you. Luo Feng agreed. Whether it was 8 Tribulations life form, 72 Blades of Destruction, or the more precious inheritance, World life form, in the infinite space, they were of great help to him. The inheritance you are in contact with now should only be the inheritance of the first level of the Divine King, the green-clothed woman said. As you go further, the more precious inheritance will be restricted. Some rare treasures and some powerful Hunyuan bloodlines are even harder to come by. It is even more difficult to obtain the complete inheritance left by Yuan. A weapon that surpasses the Divine King realm is enough to start a war between the two ancient nations. The woman in green looked at Luo Feng and said, Do you think you can get it just because you have a high talent? You don't feel it strongly now. You can still fight for some marginal resources left by Yuan. The more precious the resources are, in the end, you won't even be qualified to fight for them. Luo Feng was silent. Master Di Chu also admitted some of it. Have you heard of the God King of Lihe? The woman in green looked at Luo Feng. Luo Feng was stunned. You haven't heard of it, right? The green-clothed woman laughed. The Flame Wind Guild and the Thunder Chamber of Commerce will not spread this kind of information, and they will even try every means to cover it up. Divine King Lihe is a divine king who has fully joined the ancient Flame Wind country. He has even cultivated to the second stage of Divine King. The green-clothed woman said, He works diligently and tirelessly for the ancient Flame Wind country. Even though the resources obtained by the royal family far exceed his, he does not care. He is very satisfied. He has a wife, 3 sons and 2 daughters. He doesn't want to get involved in too many disputes. He just wants to educate his children and practice hard. He believes that he can reach a higher level by practicing hard. The woman in green said, He is grateful for the help of his master Emperor Xian. But he is so talented that he managed to successfully refine a powerful secret treasure that Yuan left behind on the Origin continent. It is a weapon secret treasure that far exceeds the Divine King realm. With this secret treasure, he, a divine king of the second level, is capable of fighting against the emperor and the monarch. The woman in green looked at Luo Feng. But what's next? He used this weapon secret treasure once when he was carrying out the mission of Yinfeng ancient country. He only used it once. The 3 emperors attacked at the same time, forced him to hand over the secret treasure, or else they will slaughter his wife, children, and his entire clan. The woman in green looked at Luo Feng. He is used to giving in and enduring. He still endured it and handed over the secret treasure. Luo Feng sighed secretly. When it is handed over, the green-clothed woman laughed. The 3 emperors took action, his wives and children, his clansmen, and even all the living beings in the entire city. All were slaughtered. Not a single one was spared. The Lihe God King was also killed. The green-clothed woman smiled. His master, Dixian, only found out about this later. But it was too late. Fortunately, the Lihe God King was strong enough, and before he was killed, he had time to perform the secret method of reincarnation, and he was reincarnated. The green-clothed woman said, but when the emperor took action, none of his wife, children, and his clansmen had time to reincarnate. After the reincarnation of Lihe Divine King, his current name is Guishu Emperor. The green-clothed woman looked at Luofeng. Luofeng was shocked. Emperor Guishu? It turned out to be him. Guishu Emperor, who called himself Emperor, was slightly less powerful than the Emperor. But he fought again and again, as if he had a blood feud with the royal family of the ancient Yinfeng Kingdom, and never gave up. There were as many as 7 or 8 god kings of the ancient Yinfeng Kingdom who died at the hands of Emperor Guishu. Emperor Guishu is a member of my Samsara building. The green-clothed woman said, I built the Samsara building in the hope that everyone can be companions, support each other, and jump out of this Samsara era. And I think you are also qualified to become a formal member of my Samsara building. There are a total of 8 members in the Samsara building so far. The woman in green looked at Luofeng. You are the 9th member I have chosen, and the only Chaos Realm member I have invited so far.